Hey everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. My name is Alyssa and I am back for part 2 of our bouncy egg experiment. So, I'll go over the background information before we start playing with the bouncy eggs, but I'm curious to see how long you let your eggs sit in vinegar. Did you notice the changes that happened when it first went in the vinegar to when you pulled it out of the vinegar? We're going to go over all of this and get to play with a super fun bouncy egg. All right, let's do that background information and here we go. For our naked egg or bouncy egg experiment, we started off by putting a regular egg in a jar of vinegar and letting it sit overnight to see what would happen. So, as we watched our egg go through the process, we kind of started noticing that there was bubbles all throughout the jar and that it seemed like the egg was getting bigger as it just sat in vinegar. Now, you're probably wondering, how did this work? How does this experiment work? And when do we get to play with a bouncy egg? Well, some of the definitions we need to know is osmosis, which is the tendency of a fluid, usually water, to pass through a semi-permeable membrane into a solution where the solvent concentration is higher, thus equalizing the concentrations of materials on each side of the membrane. We're also going to know or go back to what chemical reactions are because this whole experiment is a chemical reaction, which is a process in which one or more substances are converted to one or more substances. Now, this chemical reaction is an acid-base chemical reaction. So when the egg is submerged in vinegar, which is our acid, the shell slowly dissolves, leaving the inner semi-permeable membrane intact. The vinegar actually breaks apart the solid calcium carbonates crystals that are in the eggshell, and they break it further into calcium and carbonate parts. So the calcium ions stay dissolved in the vinegar, while the carbonate goes on to make carbon dioxide, which is all the little bubbles you see sitting in the jar right now. Or if you've already pulled it up, all the bubbles you noticed in the jar. Now, taking it a step further and knowing that this is a chemical reaction, that the vinegar actually dissolves the outer membrane of the shell, there's also osmosis going on right here, which when the vinegar leaves the membrane, it lines the shell intact. And then some of that vinegar actually permeates the shell due to osmosis, and it causes the egg to swell and grow in size from when we first put it in the vinegar. So it's growing in size because it's allowing water molecules and the vinegar molecules to pass through it to even out. So the vinegar and the egg both have the same amount of water to vinegar ratio. Now that we've kind of talked about the chemical reaction and the osmosis process that happened to the egg, let's jump into pulling out our egg, seeing the effects in person, and seeing how high we can bounce our egg before it breaks on us. All right, here we go, guys. All right, guys, so I have collected my jars. So I've already done one of the finished product of the bouncing egg, and then I am going to go through the process of taking this naked egg out of the jar and going through the steps of that. So after the 3 days, mine actually have been sitting in vinegar for 5 days, so that's why mine might look a little bit bigger. But 3 days is that sweet spot that you'll be able to get the process going and be able to play with it. So after you are all set and have waited your 3 full days, as you can see in this, you can see all the bubbles in carbonation. So that's all the carbon dioxide coming off of the eggshell membrane. So now what we want to do, if you need help from mom and dad, definitely do that. I'm just going to use a traditional tablespoon, and I'm going to gently scoop out my egg and rinse it under warm water. And as you're rinsing it, you're going to start noticing kind of the outer shell kind of rub away, peel off. And then once I do that, I'll bring it back and put it back on the plates. right, so I have rinsed off my egg. Just grabbing a towel to wipe my hands. Excuse me. Before I actually started filming this, I did wash my hands before I knew I was going to be touching the eggs. And once we are all done touching the eggs, you are also going to wash your hands, just because when the yolk breaks, it's going to end up having raw egg, and we don't want anyone getting sick. Now that I have slowly peeled off the membrane here, so this is what the traditional naked egg looks like. You can kind of see, kind of hear also, the yolk moving around in the egg. You can also see that it's grown supersized. It's not super small like a traditional egg, which I have one for size reference right here. So, egg from my freezer, egg I just pulled from the vinegar. Isn't that crazy? Look at how much it grew. And as you're touching this, it's going to feel kind of squishy and soft. And even with the blue one I have, with the food coloring I tried, look at how different they both look. But isn't that awesome? They feel so cool. And on a safe plate, I just have an extra paper plate in my kitchen, and you can just gently kind of bounce your naked egg. Now, you can get crazy and want to see how high it's going to go. I get nervous about it. But as you start bouncing it and kind of playing around with it, you might notice that the membrane might start cracking. Just like that. And I'm actually going to bring this closer so you guys can see. You can see that the yolk is still intact. The membrane is actually now a loose, super loose. So this was what was holding the egg in place, and it is now a yucky mess on the plate. But that's why we have the plate. So as you can see, just from bouncing and playing around with it, it definitely broke open. And as you can see, it's still a raw egg that you could potentially cook. I wouldn't. It's not going to taste very good. But I'm curious to see if you got the similar results. Was your egg just as big as mine, or was it a lot smaller? Or did you let it go even longer than 5 days? And it's even bigger than the ones I had. How high were you able to bounce your egg? Were you just doing little bounces over the plate, or did you do a giant splash bounce that made it go super break? Let me know in the comments. Definitely ask any questions if you want to see something else like this. There's also other experiments relating to naked egg with more osmosis and diffusion as well. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!